and welcome to Q, channel 110 on Sky Digital and free-to-air in Southland. Coming to you from Radio Sport, Woodford Glen Speedway. Hello, I'm John Cardwell. A beautiful night in Kaiapoi. The track in perfect condition, and in the pits we've got saloons, stocks, mini stocks, and 32 of the best super stocks in Aotearoa. Yes, it's the Express Printing Battle of the Stocks, raced over 6 heats and 2 shootouts over 2 nights. This is pairs racing, where 16 cars from outside of Canterbury are paired with 16 of the best from Woodford Glen. Stand by for some rip-roaring, smashing, bashing, crashing action as the pairs race for points and the prize money in the Battle of the Stocks. Well, with me in commentary is Tony Trewinard. A big night coming up, Tony.
It is a big night. There's a lot riding on this for a lot of drivers. They've come down from the North Island to put their cars on the line, and the local guys, well, they'll be out to try and beat them.
Well, as always, the action will be feverish in the pits, and to update us through the night will be Phil Dark.
Thanks very much, John. Yes, the action's going to be fantastic in the pits, but it's going to be even better on the racetrack. 16 of the top North Island drivers, 16 of the top from Canterbury. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it, John. First time I've seen pairs racing. It should be special. Back to you.
You're not the only one who's having a first time in pairs racing. There it is in the pits. You can see the car park at the back is starting to fill up. This is a 2-night meeting, and tomorrow night we'll have heats numbers 4, 5 and 6. And we start tonight, Tony, with the shootout, because we talked about its pairs racing, and here's have a look at the pairs. We'll bring that up for you now on screen and show you what's happened in the marble draw, who's got who. And look at the front, at the top there, it's New Zealand champion Simon Joblin, and he's drawn 79C, the car from Christchurch, and that is Rodney Hearn. And as we work our way down the list, you can see the 2NZ car there of Peter Rees has got Jeanette Dixon. Shane Penn, the winner of the Hoopla, is drawn with the 36 car of Terry Hall. And so on we go down through the list, and you can see some of your favourites from around the country there. Now look at those that are highlighted in white, and they are the selected driver. The pairs have got together and they said, right, I want you to come out and race in the shootout. Now first of all, Tony, why have they done that? Why have they decided that the local guys predominantly should race in the first shootout? And what does this first shootout mean?
Okay, we've got to understand that in the shootout there's only going to be 16 cars, one from each pair. The shootout is for just half of the field. Each pair had to choose which one would go out for the first shootout, and the other guy in the pair is scheduled to go out for the second shootout later in the night. Now this shootout we're about to see runs over 8 laps, and it will determine the grid positions for the first heat of the Battle of the Stocks proper. So it's a really interesting race. Now most of the teams have decided to put out the Christchurch-based cars for this shootout. There's only 2 non-Christchurch cars in the field. That's Peter Bankston and Dane Wright. For the rest, all the other pairs have decided to put out the local guys first. So this is going to be interesting. It's pretty much a local derby, this one.
All right, the driver's coming around to line up, and Jason Moore will be in the car, in the 86 car on pole. Next to, and he is teamed with Dale Evers from Nelson. Then we've got the 62 car of Adrian Fitzgerald. He's paired with, there is the 86 car of Jason Moore. Outside of him, the 62 of Adrian Fitzgerald. 62 is paired with Ricky Bolton. In behind them, we've got the 27 car of Peter Field, the very popular Peter Field, who's paired with Rick Campbell. And inside, on the 89 car, is Jason Smith, who's paired with Jared Gray. So they're forming up, and as Tony told you, this will determine the grid positions for the 32 cars when they come out for heat number 1. Here we go. It's 8 laps. Smashing, bashing, crashing action. The first shootout in the Express Battle of the Stocks, and the 86 car spinning quite wide there, and there's a bit of action coming from the back. The 23 car having a bit of trouble hanging onto that surface, and it looks like the track is being a little bit tricky for them. And at the front of the race, it's Peter Bankston from Ekatahuna, registered with the Palmerston North track. It's his first time here in Christchurch, and he's finding it a little bit difficult in that bright green car, and he's had to give way to the 89 of Jason Smith, and Jason Smith takes the lead.
Jason Smith seems pretty comfortable out there, but Bankston's right behind him. Mark Osborne in the 16 cars moved up to 3rd place.
So as they went across the line, Bankston has now taken the lead, but he is having all sorts of trouble with the northern turn there, and he spins wide.
That tricky turn 3 and 4, it often catches out visiting drivers, and look at that, Mark Osborne slipped through into the lead.
And Mark Osborne has come from near the back of the grid, and his teammate Kevin Roberts will be pretty pleased about that.
And here we see Jason Smith still in second place there, Bankston in third, and coming up behind them is Murray Gregg in the 29
and Bankston goes wide, and Bankston almost comes to a stop. He's really having a problem handling that northern turn here at Woodford Glen. Just for those of you watching Woodford Glen for the first time, this is turn 1 and 2. It's a big wide sweeper, but down the other end, it's a narrow little hairpin.
That's right, and all the drivers we talked to today, John, they all said getting turn 3 and 4 right is the key to a good lap on this track.
Well, Peter Bankston in that bright green car, the man from the Palmerston North track. He comes from Ekatahuna, sponsored by a potato company up there in the Wairarapa in the bush territory. He's decided he's going out first ahead of his Christchurch teammate.
But it's still Mark Osborne in the lead. Murray Gregg's moved up to second place, and Bankston's hanging on to third.
So there's a couple of them now starting to creep around the track. I notice one car already in the infield. He's got to go out there and keep rotating. That's the 62 car of Adrian Fitzgerald. Oh, and he's got real problems at the back there. I think he might have a flat left rear. As we look at the number 16 car of Mark Osborne, leading the way down the back straight, and he's going to start getting into lap traffic now.
Mark's probably one of the quickest cars here at the Glen. He was pre-NZ last season, and he certainly would be expecting to be near the front of this field. So he'd be pleased with how it's going.
So they're spread all over the place now. It's going to be tough for the judges.
I see Murray Gregg's managed to slip through to the lead. Murray Gregg comes from Invercargill. He drives all the way up from Invercargill to Christchurch to race. It's about a day's tour.
We've got a car parked in the infield. That's Peter Field. The white flag is flowing. That means we've got 1 lap to go. Just the 1 lap to go. And the 16 car is leading the way. Mark Osborne, his teammate Kevin Roberts, down from the North Island, will be pleased as punched about this, because that puts them, if he can hang on, onto grid number 1 in the first heat. And here comes the checkered flag, and there it is. And across the line, it was the 29 car was given the flag, and Bankston got up to second. So the 29 must have passed him in that back straight.
Yeah,
29 Murray Gregg, Wayne Hemmy's teammate.
Good battle there between Bankston and Osborne for second place. I think Bankston just managed to take it. He pushed Osborne quite wide at the end of the back straight. I noticed the 86 car was stuck in the wall at the end of that race too, but he's got moving now.
Well, bad luck for Peter Field, who you can just see in the right of your screen now, is parked up on the infield. And the winner coming over, there he is, 29. Well, he must have passed in the back straight. Murray Gregg, he must have got a great turn, a great run out of turn 3 and 4 there, and slipped underneath. And Bankston also slipping underneath of Osborne to get up to second place.
Murray Gregg races out of Invercargill. He's travelled a long way to race every weekend, John. He's a very dedicated guy.
Well, they've come from all over the country for this one. Drivers from all up. Gary Ellis would be the furthest traveller from Auckland. He's the only Waikaraka Park driver that's come down. And there he goes with the checkered flag. Here's our race winner.
Won the South Island Championship some years ago, Murray Gregg. He took a few years off. And he came back last year towards the end of the season. He's been racing on and off this season. He's put in some pretty good results. It's a pretty quick car, and he drives it pretty fast too.
And there we go. There's the result of the shootout. And it was the 29 car of Murray Gregg. And in second place, Peter Bankston, it is, with an E. Then we've got Osborne, Smith, Wright, Keats, the two Keats. I'm not sure whether it was Graham or his brother.
I'm not sure which one of those got ahead. They're not actually brothers, they're cousins.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Nigel and Graham Keats, they both race out of Christchurch. They're both very, very keen on their stock car racing.
Jacob Brownlee's an 8th. Then we've got Self and Richie Hearn rounding out the top 10 in the shootout. And we might just cross down to the pits now. And Phil Dark, there's all the action happening. Guys now get the cars ready for heat number 1. We've got a support race coming out in just a moment, Super Saloons. But let's go down to Phil Dark. And Phil, who have you got with you?
Well, John, we're just waiting for Murray to come out of the car, and we'll be talking to him very shortly. Sad to see in that race that one of the favourites here off on the infield, unfortunately. 29 years he's been racing here at Woodford Glen. Never won the Battle of the Stocks. He thought it might have been his year this year, but it hasn't got off to a good start. You know, you mentioned before about the pairs. Now, I can tell you that Murray Gregg has teamed up with Wayne Hemi, so that's a pretty powerful combination. Hemi's known as a real charger, past New Zealand champion, so he's certainly one to look for. But just as I said, waiting for Murray to get out of the car, and we will be going over to have a quick chat to him. Murray, come from the deep south, and a good win first up. Looked like the track was pretty heavy out there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad though. Good track service, car's going good. Good partner for the night, so I hope the best for night go well. The rest for night goes good.
Well, that's right. We talked about the fact that you paired with Wayne. You had a talk, obviously, before the race. You decided that you'd be doing the first shootout.
Yeah, it was probably easy for me because I was sort of like already done a few meetings here. For Wayne, you know, like he's done, I think, one before, so at least by the end of the night, the track should be a bit harder, a bit faster for Wayne.
Tell us about the pass on Mark.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to keep it nice. He drifted wide, just a wee bit too much speed, I suppose. Just sort of duck under him.
I mentioned before the track's probably a little bit heavy, but it's obviously going to be a good surface out there. It's already starting to dry off just a little bit.
Yeah, no, looks real good.
Any changes to the car between now and the first heat?
No, it's leaving, mate. It's amazing what can happen when you have 30 odd cars out there.
All right, all the best. Congratulations. Well done.
There, the winner of the shootout, and as Phil was pointing out, he's paired with Wayne Hemi, and they are going to be a pretty good combination going into heat number one, because they'll have pole, and Wayne Hemi, as we know, is one of the best in the superstock business in that red Walker, although it's not a red Walker tonight. Well, we talked about the track conditions and how vital they are for racing. Phil Dark caught up with the man that prepares the track, Doug Smith, just before the meeting started.
Before any cricket or rugby match, all the talk's about the pitch or the field. Vitally important in those sports, vitally important too at Speedway. Here we are at Woodford again, getting ready for another night of Speedway, and the track is the talking point. With me, a man that knows all about that, been racing here for over 32 years now, Doug Smith. Doug, we've got a track here, and you tell me it's clay, but it's not the red terracotta type clay.
No, that's right. It's equally as good as the red clay that you see. Probably a little bit better in our eyes anyway. It's a local clay from White Rock. It's similar to a potter's clay, and it retains its moisture content, which is what you need for a good speedway track, so that your track doesn't slick up, become dusty, and it's hard on tyres. So you get good racing right across the track, 2 and 3 car wide.
Well, let's talk about the moisture, because, and let's get down and have a look at the track here. We've already put some water on the surface, and it's early in the afternoon, so we're going to see a lot more water go down here. How much water would they normally use in preparation?
Well, it depends on the day. We'll use quite a bit today with the wind. The wind dries it out very quickly, so the water pack people will be back 3 or 4 times between now and 6 o'clock, and then we do our final wet up, and then we'll wheel pack prior to the racing. The key to it is to have very, very good staff who know what to do to lay the race track down. We're very lucky to have a guy, Dave, who works in the water pack. He spends probably 2 or 3 nights here a week, once the track is relayed with the grader driver, and keeping the moisture in right till race time.
You talked about the grader driver. When they grade the track, do they turn it over before they grade it, or do they just flatten it out?
No, straight after a race meeting, the grader will come in, and they'll windrow the whole track up to the top. So they grade all the racing surface off back to the base, and then they lay it back in layers. So the base is wet down, bring it back in 3 or 4 layers, and wheel pack each layer and wet each layer. A racing surface probably about that deep, and then you've got to keep it moist for a whole week to race.
Well, we're down here right on the pole line in turn 1, and just what are we looking for? It seems fairly soft, but then only initially, down further it's quite firm.
It'll be, the moisture content will be right through to the base, which could be, a good 2 inches, 3 inches of clay, and you must have it right through, and that is the secret, so that it doesn't get dusty through the night.
And of course, if it gets dusty, that means it gets hard packed, and that means wear on tyres, and that certainly affects the quality of the race.
Exactly, and what you end up with is a one-lane track, because nobody can go around the outside.
And that's the last thing we want in any speedway race.
For sure, yeah. But no, the secret, as I said, is very, very good staff who know exactly what they're doing in preparation for the race track, and we're lucky to do those people.
Good stuff.
There's the answer to all your questions about track preparation. Doug Smith and the team doing a great job, and a little bit slippy to start with here in the first one, but it'll soon sort itself out as the night goes on. Well, let's go down to the pits now. Phil Dark, I believe you've got Wayne Hemi with you.
That's right, thanks John. Wayne, how lucky are you? You picked Murray Grigg and he's come through and you've given you pole 1 in the first heat.
Oh, certainly. All the luck with me today. But I hope it stays with us.
Well, that's right. I mean, pairs racing is something a little bit different. A lot of people won't have seen how it's going to work out. You've got to do a little bit of thinking about this, don't you?
Oh, you've got to do a lot of thinking because we could run probably the first couple of races, but it'll certainly turn into a team's race before the end of the night.
And just talking about the teams, I see there's 9 Palmy cars here, so you got plenty of help.
Well, I don't think they'll be helping us tonight. I think they are all individual, and we'll have to see how we get on.
You're saying it's a bit chilly down here. Of course, you come from the sunny Gold Coast. It'd be a bit of a shock for you.
Oh, it's certainly a big shock. I flew in today at 2:30, and she's fairly chilly down here.
All right, we wish you best in the first heat. We'll be looking for you. You start off grid position 1. That's got to be a healthy start.
Oh, it's got to be.
Good stuff. There we are. Wayne Hemi, folks. Shane, down here at Woodford Green, I guess you're hoping that your successful season continues?
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to the Mountain of Soft. It's always been a good engine of ours. Coming in here for the last 5 years and really enjoy it. So yeah, if we can pull this one off again, and it'll just keep off an excellent and brilliant season for us.
And it's one of those races that you've got to have a bit of a think about as well, don't you? The way the format goes.
Yeah, this year's a bit different. We've got a shootout to start with, and to get grid positions, and then highest points getters are off the back from there on, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult, whereas in past years we've had a middle back front grid, so it's going to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit harder, probably make the points a bit closer.
I mentioned before you've had a really good season, and part of that is because the technology of the car. People watching this probably stock cars, there's nothing too special about them, but your car's very special. Explain to us, like for example, the front end on it.
Yes, it's actually this car is actually 12 years old. It's 12, 13 years old now. It's built by Glen. The front suspension is independent. Springs are tucked down underneath the chassis there. It's pretty hard to get those springs out of the So, and it handles very well. It's very easy to work on, and we quite like it.
And let's talk a little bit about the engines, because these days it's a battle of the Japanese cars, and it's the Toyotas and the V8s that are running at the front.
Yeah, dead right there. It's a Ryan Hartley built Nissan V8, and you don't get much better than that. It develops about 500 horsepower, and it's absolutely brilliant value for money engine.
And I guess, especially with the super stock, the focus of the racing case, isn't it? It's not all about bash and crash anymore.
No, believe it or not, they do hurt when you get hit. The A-grade cars are a lot faster than the general stock cars, and cost a lot more money as well. We still bash and crash when we need to, and you certainly notice it when you get hit.
Well, we've seen that through the season, and thankfully you've come out of it premier on top or about.
Yeah, we've had a good season this year. To me, you've got to have a lot of luck in this sport, and we've had a lot of luck this year. We've always been there or thereabouts in the past seasons, but had a little bit of bad luck. This year it's going our way.
All right.
Well, there we go. That's Shane Penn, and what a fantastic car that Shane has, that 3NZ car. We are ready, almost, for heat number 1. And Tony, I have to say that the red Walker, there he is at the front, ain't red no more.
No, he's wearing the Palmerston North Panthers team's body that he used in the teams racing, which is the all-black coloured body there. And he's also using the same number that he used there, 6P, instead of the 591 that he's used to using most of the time.
Well, he's certainly picked the best man to drive with, hasn't he?
That's right. Murray Gregg will be lining up beside him. Remember, when the cars line up on the grid, they're going to line up in their pairs, side by side. So the pair at the front are together. That's Kemi and Gregg. They got there as a result of Gregg winning the shootout earlier on this evening.
So, at the front, heat number 1, it's the 6 and 29. We've told you about the 6 and 29, Murray Gregg and Wayne Hemi. Behind them will be the 99 car from Christchurch.
That's Emerson Leach.
Emerson Leach, and Emerson Leach is with Peter Bankston, who we saw come out in the first heat and have a few dramas with the Northern hairpin. We won't call it a turn. And on row number 3, we've got the 53 car, and with the 53 car is the 16, so the 53 and the 16, he said searching his list.
53 is Kevin Roberts
and Mark Osborne.
His first time racing at Woodford Glen for quite a few years. Of course, Mark Osborne races here every week.
Behind them, we've got Jared Gray and Jason Smith in the 96 and the 89.
That's right, Jason Smith in the car that formerly owned by Shane Penn some years ago, and Jared Gray, of course, races out of Nelson.
And behind them, we've got Dane Wright and Malcolm Natai, the hot charger from here in Woodford Glen.
That's right. Malcolm has been having an excellent season, as he usually does, nearly always winning races and at the front of the field, and I would think Dane Wright would fancy his chances of doing rather well in this tournament paired with Malcolm.
And then another interesting combination, the last one we'll tell you about, is Graham Keats and Scott Myers in the tank.
That's right. Both drivers who love to block. Graham Keats is a local blocker, and of course Myers is from Palmerston North.
So we've got two tanks together. This is
we do. It's interesting the way it's worked out there. The two tanks are.
They drew it by marble.
Not quite together, but pretty close.
All right, stand by, folks. This is going to be interesting because remember, it's pairs, and there they are queued up. They are alongside their teammate, if you will, their tag teammate, and they are chasing the points. This grid determined by the result of that first shootout where only one car from the pair went out.
32 cars out there, John. It's the first time I've seen 32 cars in the field at Woodford Glen. Previously, the most you could put on the track was 30, but Speedway New Zealand have recently changed the way you calculate the maximum numbers, and they said, yep, you can have some more.
Boy, there's some heavyweight machinery out there. There's some great big V8s out there, and there's some very, very expensive cars out there.
Close to 16,000 horsepower.
Our starter and the AmPro Professional Tool start flag box is waiting for the all clear from the stewards. Steward just checking up the line. The red flag is still displayed. The steward completes his check, gives us a wave at the end. The red flag goes up, the green flag comes out, and we are racing. This is Heat 1 in the Battle of the Stocks, and I'm afraid Wayne Hemme got a shocker of a start, and he's had to leave it up to his teammate, and his teammate in the 29 car has shot to the lead. That's Greg. And in behind him, we've got Bengston, and what can Bengston do? Can he get this corner sorted out? He's done a better job this time, and he's got himself up into second place.
Emerson Leach got spun out of the pack there, and he's sitting stationary on the track just out of turn 2. You'll see him come into shots about now. There he goes. If he doesn't get started quickly, they'll bring on the red light for him, I expect.
So the 29 car, Murray Gregg, is your leader.
But he's under pressure there.
And he's doing a pretty good job just at the moment. And that's Wayne Hemme. He's got himself up into second place. So that pairing have got maximum points at the moment. They're running first and second.
Third place is Osborne and then Bengston. Of course, it's important for Hemme to remember that Gregg's his teammate and he doesn't have to push him out of the way.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of blocking going on behind Murray Gregg.
Red light.
So we've got the red light, and that is for
the 79 car of Rodney Hearn on the back straight.
There he is.
I didn't see what happened to him. It looks as if his car's just ground to a halt there. I noticed that Emerson Leach did manage to get going again, though, so that's good for him and his teammate, Peter Bengston.
Yes, excuse us if we're not totally sure, Tony and I, right from the top of the program, who's paired with who, because trust me, the marble draw was only made 3/4 of an hour before we came on air. And it's like saying, yes, right, okay, it's so-and-so with so-and-so. I'm pretty sure by tomorrow night we'll have it sussed.
That's right, we will.
So forgive us if we make the odd little blue when we're going through the pairs, because like these guys out on the track, we only found out when they made the marble draw. Well, that's bad luck. The 79 car is stopped on the infield. We're still under a red flag. We go green now, and racing, and Wayne Hemme takes over from his teammate.
That's right, that was a sneaky pass. One of the real strengths of Hemme and his car is how quickly it accelerates from a standing start, John.
And there's one of the tanks out there doing a bit of pushing and shoving. Hemme at the front.
Oh, and that's Rees and Roberts going wildly across the turn 3, across the grass there. Rees put a big hit on Kevin Roberts. Both cars got turned around.
And there's Shane Penn. He's been turned around, and he is stopped in the middle of the track. No, is he going to get himself going? He does, and he gets right in front of Peter Bengston. And the 29 car was also mixed up in that bingle as well. What's the order? It's Hemme, Osborne, Natai. Then we've got Bengston. Then we've got McCabe, Hickey, Joblin, and Evans.
So that was quite a big hit by Rees on Roberts there, and Penn got tangled up in it. So that's put Penn back down the field quite a long way.
The 62 car just got a huge hit in front of us. I felt it rattle the concrete. It was like an earthquake up there. And there is the 62. He's in trouble. Yeah. Thumbs down. He's given the thumbs down to the infield crew. We could have another red light here very soon. Although we continue racing at the front. And there is Wayne Hemme, that black car. Yep, we do go red. Oh, the tank was coming up alongside him, the 53P. And that's Kevin Roberts.
And the 62 car there, Adrian Fitzgerald. Not sure what happened. He slowed down the front straight for some reason, and then, as you say, John, he got a big tap, and there's the result. Steaming motor and a rather sick-looking car.
The 53P, there he is right in front of you, that black and red tank alongside Wayne Hemi. That's Kevin Roberts, a super tank, 248. He's from Foxton. Waiting for the restart. Yes, there's going to be some sick engines, and I tell you, in the second shootout later tonight, the last race tonight, you know, when they'll only have 16, one from each team out there, if your teammate's busted and he didn't race in the first shootout, well, then you can only go for half points.
That's correct, John. Yes, if you have to race as the same car that went out in the first shootout, you'll only be eligible for half the points. So look, finishing is everything in these heats, John. You've got to get your car through to the end.
Well, one car being pushed into the infield.
That's the 14 car of Dale Avers. He's out now as well.
Rob Nelson, and away we go. Racing again, Wayne Hemi gets off to a great start. Matt Black, number 6.
Mark Osborne in second place, and Malcolm Nartai not too far behind him in third.
So the 12C is a lap down. There's Emerson Leach in the yellow and white car. The 12C gives Hemi a bit of a nudge, gets him off his line, and Osborne says thanks very much, but it's not helping just at the moment, and Emerson Leach does have a puncture there in the left rear. He's creating a rut round the track.
That's
12 laps, this one.
Probably a result of the contact in the first lap that saw him stationary for a while. Osborne racing really hard, but out in front it's still Wayne Hemi.
They shouldn't call this the Battle of the Stocks. They should call this Survivor, Woodford Glen.
It is a bit like that, isn't it? There you can see Hemi, then the lead he's got on the second place car of Osborne going into that turn. Emerson Leach's tyre just about shredded to pieces.
It's thrashing the bodywork to bits. Where's our leader? There he is, Wayne Hemi, coming into the front straight, underneath the 23C car. The 27 of Peter Field making its way gingerly around the outside, and he's coming up to lap his teammate Wayne Hemi. They should have comms between them, an RT between them. He's saying, keep those guys off the tail behind me. Get rid of Osborne for me.
That's right. So the order at the moment is Hemi, Osborne, Hickey, Benston and McKay.
White flag. We are on the last lap here in heat number 1, the Battle of the Stocks. And it's Wayne Hemi, your leader, from Mark Osborne. And Stan Hickey has got himself up into third place. The veteran is in there. Here he is, Wayne Hemi. He's got to come round and get the checkered flag. This man is doing the business. The Palmerston North driver based in Queensland. Wayne Hemi is your winner, and he'll take it from Mark Osborne, Stan Hickey, Adrian McKay, Peter Bengston, Malcolm Nartai, and Scotty Myers. No, Scotty Myers was pipped on the line by Jared Gray for 7th place.
Well, that was a pretty exciting race there, John. I think several cars pulled off. I noticed the 47 car of Nigel Keats pulled off in that last lap too. Fastest lap in that race was Wayne Hemi in 19.5. Several other cars were well under 20 seconds though.
Well, we're going to have to look and see at the points towards the end of the evening and see how that shakes down. Folks, we're not live tomorrow night from Woodford Glen. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
You are going to have to come out here and watch the racing, I'm afraid. We will replay tomorrow night's racing action on Sunday at 9 p.m. So who will win the Battle of the Stocks tomorrow night? Well, you'll just have to be here. If you can't be here, if you're watching us in Kaitaia, or you're watching us over in Greymouth on Sky Channel 110, then you can watch the replay on Sunday from 9 o'clock on Channel 110. Phil Dark is in the pits, and Phil, I know you won't have the winner with you yet, but what do you think of that one?
Wayne Hemi, I guess, John, he got off the front of the grid and he was never headed, but I'll tell you what, there's going to be some work down here pretty shortly because a couple of those cars took some pretty big hits, and I wouldn't be surprised if the number 62 doesn't take too much further part. Lots of steam, so I would suggest that maybe a radiator gone or something in the overheating department. Maybe not a mechanical problem. These guys work pretty hard in the pits, and maybe we could get it out for heat number 2. But Wayne Hemi, well, he drew the perfect spot, didn't he? Murray Grigg got out in the shootout and won it. Hemi went off 1 and he made it look easy.
I just have to say that, Phil, you did have to say that you'd have to feel sorry for Peter Field. Peter, we talked to him before the meeting and he was saying how much he was looking forward to this because he'd raced in 10 Super Battles of the Stocks up until this one?
That's correct.
He told that he'd never won one, wanted to win one, been racing here for 29 years, and when you think that Woodford Glen's been going just for 32 years now, that's an amazing accomplishment. He's a hard charger, but maybe, even by his own admission, his best days are behind him.
All right, we stand by for a talk with the winner, Wayne Hemi, with Phil. And there's the 14 car, Tony.
Dale
got real problems.
Dale Avers from Nelson. No indication of what the problem was there. It's probably something in the motor, I would suggest. Dale's been a great competitor around the country this season, does a lot of travelling to the North Island to race. He comes down to Woodford Glen to race from Nelson as well. Also a member of the Nelson Tigers teams racing team, and also current South Island champion, John. So, yeah, Dale's got a lot to offer.
So we've got the A-grade saloons coming out, but let's have a look at the results there. Confirmed for you, Wayne Hemi, Mark Osborne, Stan Hickey. Stan, you know, he's been around for a long, long time, the Rotorua man, but...
Sneaked up there in the last few laps, didn't he? He was midfield pretty much all the race in the last 2 laps.
All right, let's go down. Sorry, Tony, talking over you there. That marks off, isn't it? We go down to the pits now, and Phil is with our race winner.
Thanks very much, John. Yes, I've got Wayne Hemi with me. Wayne, you went off one, so you made it look a little bit easier than it was, but you still had to contend with some lap traffic out there.
Oh, we certainly did, and the track was a little bit sticky and wet, so we had to drive with a bit of caution, but there was a lot of damage out there, so you know, I had to be a bit careful. Got a few punts coming into the corner, but probably just being careful. Haven't been in the car for 4 weeks, so I'm a little bit rusty as well.
And how hard was it to dial back into Woodford Glen, especially through 3 and 4 with that real tight turn?
Oh, it took about 2 laps. I love Woodford Glen. It's one of my favourite tracks, and it's a really fast track, and you've got really good brakes, and you know, it's just a really, really good track to race on.
Any changes now for the car between now and Heat 2?
No, I was quite happy with the car. We might look at a bit more front brake. It's gonna slick off, so we'll just have to probably adjust our setup for a slick track as the night gets on.
So the plan now, you've shown out in Heat 1, you've got maximum points. I guess it's win the next one as well?
We're off the back in the next one, so we have to fight through some traffic, and I think to win the championship, the Battle of the Stocks is always hard. We've won it once before, but you've got to finish 6 races. So it's not a matter of going out there and winning the races and trying to be the hero. It's just a matter of your partner and you just finishing each race.
We mentioned before that, you know, you've got the Palmy boys there if you need them. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, probably that's for tomorrow, but it must be confidence inspiring for you to know that if you need them, they're there.
Oh, certainly, we're part of the Panthers, and all the Panthers are here, so that's a really good feeling.
All right, mate, rest up. We'll see you in Heat 2.
Thank you very much.